Hello students and welcome to your English class. Before we begin today's chapter, I want you to take a look at this image. What is this image about? What can you see? One image you can see the smoke blowing out of a crater, and in the other image, that is on my right, you can see hot lava coming out. What is this all about? Yes, of course, it is a volcano. So in today's class, my dear students, we will read about an adventurous story, Down the Volcano. Down the Volcano by Jules Verne. Who is Jules Verne? We'll just find out in a bit. Jules Gabriel Verne was a French novelist, poet and playwright. He is a French novelist, that is a person who writes novels. Novels are fictional. So his best-selling novels were adventurous, that include Journey to the Center of the Earth, that is written in 1864. Another one, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, written in 1870. The other one, Around the World in 80 Days, written in 1872. So today's chapter, Down the Volcano, is an extract from his famous novel, Journey to the Center of the Earth. So join me students while I read out this adventurous journey. Please turn to page number 64 in your textbook. Down the Volcano. Let's begin. This extract is from Jules Verne's novel Journey to the Center of the Earth, published in 1864. Professor Lidenbrock discovers a coded message inside a book which explains how one can reach the center of the earth. He takes his young nephew Axel and a guide, Hans, along with him on the dangerous adventure. They reach a volcano and must now go down on its craters. How will they do it? First and foremost, my dear students, do you know what a volcano is? Volcano is nothing but a mountain which is hollow inside, that is, it is empty on the inside and it has an opening on the top. That is what we call as a crater. This is the crater. Large deep holes that form the mouths of volcanoes. So this is the mouth of the volcano. Volcano is a hollow mountain and this is the mouth of the volcano. Let's start the journey along with the narrator. Who is the narrator? We'll find out. The real journey began. I had still not looked down into the bottomless pit into which we were going to lower ourselves. Who is talking here? Who does I refer to? Information given above, it says that Professor Lidenbrock takes along with him his nephew Axel and his guide Hans. So this journey is undertaken by three people, the professor, Axel and Hans the guide. And who is narrating this story here? It is Axel, the nephew. So let's find out how Axel feels about entering a volcano. I could still either take part in the adventure or refuse to try. If you refuse to try, that would not be courageous enough. So Axel is still trying to make up his mind whether to go on this adventure or not. Now let's find out more about his decision. Does he undertake this journey, this adventurous journey or not? Hans, our guide, accepted it so calmly that I felt ashamed at the idea of being less brave than him. Who was very courageous to undertake this dangerous journey or adventure? It was Hans, the guide. Who is a guide? A guide is a person who is able to take you around to the new places and tell you more about those places. If you are a tourist to a new spot, you have tourist guides who help you around the place by telling you the history of the place. I approached the middle chimney. What do you mean by chimney? Do you have a chimney in your home? In modern homes, we do not keep a chimney. This is the picture of a chimney. You must have seen it in many homes in and around your place. And making a fire out of wood. So all the smoke has to travel in one direction. Otherwise, it will spread all over the room. So that is why there is a funnel or a direct connection between the fireplace and the roof. So that part is called a chimney, where all the smoke comes out and it is let out into the air. It was 100 feet across or about 300 feet round. I leaned over an overhanging rock and looked. My hair stood on end. What do you mean by my hair stood on end? It means it caused a fright. I got frightened by looking at the depth, how deep the volcano was. Here in this context, when he refers to a chimney, it means the crater, that is the mouth of the volcano. He got frightened by looking into the deep hole, that is into the crater. He looked into the volcano. I felt my head spinning and I grew faint. He grew faint means when you stand on top of a building and you look down, it looks very scary to you. You feel very faint. You feel as though your head is going to spin and you will fall down. So it is the same way how Axel was feeling when he was looking down into the volcano. I was about to fall when a hand held me back. It was Hans. Whose Hans? Hans is their guide. I had not dared much to look down into the well, but I could see what shape it was. Here well means he is talking about the volcano. Its walls were almost vertical and had many rocky projections. What do you mean by vertical? Vertical means upright. They were straight. What do you mean by projections? Projections means pieces of rock sticking out. So here on my right you have a rock climber, and what is he making use of? He is making use of these projections to help him climb up. So in the same way, if you go for rock climbing, you have these small stones that are kept across so that you move from one stone to the other and you are able to reach the top, and in the same way you can make use of them and come down again. These were certainly going to make it easier for us to climb down. As I have mentioned it to you, that these same projections will help you to climb up as well as climb down. If we attached a rope at the mouth of the well, it would provide sufficient support. But the problem was how to untie the rope when we got to the bottom of the well. Here well means the volcano. Please remember that. My uncle used a very simple method to get round this difficulty. Now what is the difficulty that he is talking about? He is talking about how to enter into the volcano or the well that he keeps mentioning. Who is his uncle? His uncle is Professor Leidenbrock. How will they solve this problem? Let's find out. He unrolled a rope as thick as a thumb and 400 feet long. First, he dropped half of it down into the crater, then wound the middle of it round a block of lava, and finally threw the rest of it also down into the chimney. This way we could climb down, holding together the two halves of the rope. So, how did his uncle manage to get all the three of them inside the volcano? He used a simple method. What is this method? I'll just show it to you. He took a rope as thick as his thumb. Now, I don't have a rope, I have a ribbon with me. So, it's little broader than my thumb. So, what did he do? If this is the rock, he takes one end of the rope and he lets it down the well or the volcano this way, and he wound it round the block of lava. So, like this way, and he lets down the other half this way. So, here when they go down the well or the volcano, they get two ends of the rope. So, they go, all the three of them could use the rope which was strong enough to get to the bottom of the pit or bottom of the volcano. And how did they untie it, or how did they release it? They just left one part of the rope and started pulling the other part this way. So, they get the entire rope back again with them. When we reached the bottom, we could easily bring the rope down by letting one end go and pulling the other. Now, said my uncle, having finished these preparations, let's think about the luggage. It will be split into three, and each of us will tie a package to his back. I refer only to the breakable objects. Breakable means objects that can be broken easily. Hans will carry the tools and a third of the food. You, Axel, another third of the food and the firearms. Firearms means like gun or crackers. I will take the rest of it and the delicate instruments. But what about the clothing and this great pile of ropes and ladders? Who will take them? I said. There is no need, replied my uncle. Why? I asked. You will see, replied my uncle without hesitating. Hesitating means without any doubt. On his command, Hans tied the unbreakable objects into a single packet which was tied solidly together, and then he simply dropped it down into the vast hole. I heard the low howling sound produced by the movement of air as our luggage fell. So, here he is describing how the package was let down into the volcano pit, and the sound that it made while it was travelling. When they let it down, it was cutting through the air, and that was making a noise, a sound. So, that is what is being described here. My uncle, leaning over the pit, watched the fall with great satisfaction and stood up again only after he could not see it anymore. Right, we are next, he said. What do you mean by that? It means first the objects go, all the luggage has to go, and last it will be these three people who have to reach the bottom of the volcano. My uncle attached the package of instruments to his back. Hans took the tools, I the firearms. The descent began in the following order. Descent means you are coming down. First Hans, then my uncle, finally I. We proceeded in deep silence, which was broken only by pieces of rock falling down. I went slowly and carefully, holding onto the double rope and using my feet to slow down. I was terribly afraid of losing support. The rope seemed too delicate to bear the weight of 3 people. I used it as little as possible, balancing myself on the lava projections. So what is Axel trying to tell us? That he was really very scared during this entire journey, and when you have to get down into a deep pit, into that hole, into the middle of the earth, it is really dangerous. And since he did not have any prior experience of such kind, he was really very frightened. So he didn't put much of his weight on the rope. Rather, he made use of these projections to balance himself or to hold his weight. When one of these rocks happened to come loose under Hans' feet, he would say in a calm voice, "Careful." What do you mean by come loose? That means it is becoming loose and it is going to fall. And since there are other 2 people below Axel who are taking the journey, if a stone falls on top of their head, they may get injured. So that is why Hans used to warn Axel every now and then, "Careful," while putting your weight on the projections. While placing your feet on the projections, place it softly or lightly so that they don't slip out from their place and fall down. If they fall, they will fall on the professor and Hans below, and they may get injured. After half an hour, we reached the top of a large rock solidly attached to the wall of the chimney. Hans pulled one of the ends of the rope and the other rose in the air. Leaning over our narrow platform, I noticed that the bottom of the hole could still not be seen. That is, they are still trying to find the center of the earth, which they are unable to locate. Then the descent began again. Again they started moving downwards into the volcano pit. And half an hour later we had got 200 feet deeper. After 3 hours I had still not caught a glimpse of the bottom of the chimney. When I looked up, I could see the mouth, which was getting quite a lot smaller. So as you go down deep under, the crater looks smaller. When you are on top, it is this big. So when you go down below, it looks smaller and smaller and smaller and gets more narrower. That was because as the walls rose up towards the mouth, they looked as if they were coming together. It was slowly getting darker. We were still going down. We had used the rope 14 times, taking half an hour each time. So we spent 7 hours plus 14 resting periods of 15 minutes or 3.5 hours, 10.5 in total. Since we had left at 1 o'clock, it had been about 11 o'clock now. At that moment, Hans's voice was heard. Halt! Halt means stop. I stopped just at the moment my feet were about to knock my uncle's head. We are there, he said. Where? I asked, slipping down beside him. At the bottom of the chimney. And there is no way out? Yes, there is. I can just see a curving tunnel towards the right. We will have a look tomorrow. Let's eat and then we can sleep, my uncle said. We opened the food bag, ate and lay down. each doing his best to make a bed amongst the stone and lava debris. Debris is the leftover after a volcanic eruption. All the waste that is left over. Lying on my back, I opened my eyes and caught sight of a brilliant object at the end of the 3,000 foot long tube-like well. Tube-like well refers to the volcano. It was a star, but not twinkling at all. My knowledge of astronomy told me that it was the star Beta of the constellation Little Bear. Then I fell into a deep sleep. What do you mean by astronomy? Astronomy is the study of stars. Now, which is the constellation that he is talking about? Constellation is a collective noun for stars. A constellation that is called Little Bear, a group of 7 stars in the sky which together are said to look like a small bear. So, this is a group of 7 stars, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, this is what he saw from the volcano that they entered. So, the 7 stars which together make up the little bear that is here, and if it is bigger than that, it is called the big bear. So, this is the big bear and this is the little bear. So, with this I come to the end of this chapter. Now, let us begin with the grammar part of this chapter. What is suffix? A suffix is a group of letters that creates a new word when added to the end of a word. Let's find out with the help of a few examples. Now, the word that we have with us is bottom, and when I add another word, less, which also has a meaning of its own, it becomes a altogether new word, bottomless. So, a suffix is a group of letters that creates a new word when added at the end of a word. So, bottom plus less becomes bottomless. Another example, move. I have added meant. So, the word that I get is move meant. This is the suffix. Meant is the suffix. Now, let us complete the exercise in your textbook on page number 68. D. Circle the correct suffixes that can be added to these words. You can circle more than one. I want you to complete this exercise in your textbook itself. 1. Heart. What is the suffix that you can add to it? It will be heartless. 2. Comfort. The suffix is comfortable. Do you find any other? Yes, we find another one. It is comforting. 3. Punish. Your suffix will be punishment. 4. Peace. Suffix will be peaceful. 5. Train. It will be training. 6. The suffix will be seasonal and seasoning. 7. Sharp. Your suffix will be sharpen. 8. Hand. The suffix will be handful and handing. Now, let us look at another rule while we add suffixes. Sometimes we have to change the spelling of the root word before we add the suffix to it. What do we mean by this? What do we mean by root word? What do we have to change? Let's find out. Now, look at this example. The word is love and I want to add the suffix able. But look at the spelling here. L-O-V-A-B-L-E. I have dropped a letter here, E. When I joined it to this suffix, to create a new word. Love plus able, lovable. Next, survive. What we have done is we have dropped E and we have added the suffix al, survival. Next, adventure, and the suffix is ous. So what we have done here? So here again we have dropped E and we have added the suffix ous, adventurous. Now let us complete the exercise on page number 68 in your textbook. E. Make complete words from these words and suffixes. You can look up the new word in the dictionary to check if its spelling is correct. Please make use of the dictionary and understand the meaning of the new formed words. First one, analyze. The suffix is sis. So your answer will be analysis. 2. Caution. The suffix is ous. Your answer will be cautious. 3. Biology. Your suffix is ical and your answer will be biological. 4. Happy plus the suffix is ness. The new word will be happiness. Please take up a dictionary and find out the meanings of it. Complete this exercise in your textbook itself. 5. Active plus ity. Your answer will be activity. 6. Tense plus ion will give you tension. 7. Brave plus ery will give you bravery. 8. Organize plus action will give you organization. Let us move on to another part of grammar, that is simple present tense. This we have already dealt with in our earlier videos. Please refer to the old videos for further details on simple present tense. Verbs in the simple present tense state a fact or a habitual action. For example, Professor Lidenbrock's nephew is a young man. What did they mean here? In a simple present tense, we are stating a fact or a habitual action. So in this example, we are stating a fact. Professor Lidenbrock's nephew is a young man. It is a fact. It is the truth. So we make use of the verb is. Next, Arnabi wakes up at 6 o'clock every morning. So here we are talking about a habitual action, wakes. Next, light travels faster than sound. Here again it is a habitual action, travels. Now let us complete the exercise on page number 68 in your textbook. G. Fill in the blanks with the simple present form of the verbs in the brackets. I want you to complete this exercise in your textbook itself. For details of simple present tense, please refer my old videos. Annie and Tara are late for school. Tara grabs her school bag and asks Annie to hurry up. They run towards the door. Their mother tells them to stop rushing. The two girls call out a hasty goodbye. Annie wants to cut across the park, but Tara knows a shorter route. They take that route and it saves them a lot of time. Seconds before the school bell rings, The two reach the school. So in this entire exercise, I have made use of simple present tense of the verbs given in the bracket. Present continuous tense. Verbs in the present continuous tense are used to show an action that is going on in the present moment. Let us look how present continuous tense is formed. This we have already studied in our previous videos. Please refer them for details. It is formed by making use of is, am, are plus verb plus the ing form. For example, we are packing our bags for the adventure. Here, are packing. Are plus the verb pack plus ing form makes the present continuous tense. Another example, Tulika is writing a story about her trek in the Himalayas. Here is plus write, that is the verb plus ing form. Now this is an exercise on page number 69 in your textbook. H. Use the verbs in the box and make sentences in the present continuous tense about the people at the book fair. In your textbook, there is a small picture. You have to look at this picture and make use of these words that are given to you in the present continuous form. So I have formed the sentences for you. You can keep the same sentences or you can make your own. But please remember, they have to be of these verbs and they have to be in the present continuous form. 1. The man with spectacles is reading a book. So, the first verb is over. The second, the cashier is speaking to his customer. The second verb is over. 3. The man wearing the tie is asking questions about the book he wants. 4. All the customers are waiting in a queue. 5. The cashier is explaining to the customers. 6. The boy is looking at the customers. 7. The man with the bald head is listening to the cashier. 8. All the customers are standing patiently for their turn. So these are the sentences that I have framed making use of the verbs in the present continuous tense. You can keep the same or you can frame your own sentences. Present perfect tense. Verbs in the present perfect tense are used to show an action that has been completed very recently or in the present moment. How do you form the present perfect tense? It is formed by making use of has or have plus the past participle form of the verb. For example, we have reached the bottom of the chimney, Hans said. So here, have reached. Reach is the verb and we are making use of the past participle, that is reached. Another example, Sanil has finished the test. Has finished is the present perfect tense. Now let us complete this exercise on page 70. I. Complete the sentences with the present perfect form of the verbs in the brackets. I want you to complete this exercise in your textbook itself. You have to make use of the present perfect form of the verb given in the bracket. So, you have shown great courage, my boy, said Professor Leidenbrock to Axel. 2. Deepthi has won the inter-school debate competition this year. 3. Vani and Aruna have returned home from their month-long motorcycle tour of India. 4. The notice says that the shop has moved to another address. 5. I can't find my bicycle key. I think I have dropped it somewhere. So with this, I come to the end of today's session. Thank you for watching, and I'll meet you in another video. Till then, take care.